The hum of the machine was unnerving. Alex could hear it faintly from the hallway, like a low vibration through the walls. He'd heard it before, of course, but tonight it seemed different, more insistent, almost like it was alive. Hesitant, he moved closer to the door of the shared apartment. His alien roommate, Zarlin, hadn't been around much lately. Distracted, he claimed, but Alex wasn't sure about that. He never quite trusted the way Zarlin acted, the way he would disappear for hours without an explanation. The machine hummed louder as Alex approached, its soft whirring becoming an eerie drone. There was something off about it. The faint light, flickering through the edges of the door, only added to the strange sense of foreboding that had crept up on him over the last few weeks. Hesitating for a moment, Alex turned the handle and pushed the door open. The sight that greeted him was nothing like what he had expected. Zarlin was standing before the machine, his tall, elongated form bathed in the pale glow of the console. The machine itself was alien. There was no other way to describe it. Twisted metal and wires intertwined, glowing with an almost ethereal light. It looked like something out of a nightmare, the type of thing one would imagine as a portal to another world. But this machine, however ominous, wasn't some distant piece of alien technology. It was right here in their living room. Alex's stomach tightened. "What the hell is that, Zarlin?" he asked, his voice strained, barely a whisper. His words hung in the air, too sharp in the silence that had enveloped the room. Zarlin didn't answer immediately. Instead, he slowly turned, his deep blue eyes locking with Alex's. There was something unsettling in his gaze, something Alex hadn't noticed before, like an edge of desperation. Zarlin's features were calm, almost serene, but his posture was stiff, as though he was bracing for something. For a moment, Alex thought he saw a flicker of anxiety cross his roommate's alien face, but it was gone as quickly as it came. "It's nothing to worry about," Zarlin finally said, his voice smooth, almost reassuring, but Alex wasn't reassured. The low hum of the machine continued, vibrating through his chest, and the strange smell in the air made him feel lightheaded. There was something wrong. He could feel it in his bones. "You've been working on this thing for weeks," Alex said, his voice rising with unease, "and now you won't even tell me what it does." "Zarlin, what is this?" Zarlin hesitated, his gaze momentarily flickering toward the machine. Then slowly he stepped closer to Alex, his long, graceful strides eerily silent. "It's for a cause greater than either of us can fully comprehend," he said, his tone cryptic, distant. "But I assure you, it's necessary." "Necessary for what?" "Zarlin, I don't know what you're up to, but this feels wrong." Alex's eyes narrowed as he glanced at the contraption again. It wasn't just the machine that made him uneasy. It was the air in the room. It felt thick, charged, with something unspoken, something dangerous. His mind raced with questions, none of which seemed to have answers. "You need to trust me, Alex," Zarlin said softly, stepping back toward the machine. His voice was strangely calm, as though trying to lull Alex into a sense of peace. "It's important. The future depends on it." "The future of what?" Alex demanded. "Humanity, your people, because it sure as hell doesn't feel like it's for either of us." Zarlin's eyes flickered just for a moment with something Alex couldn't quite place, but he said nothing. He turned back to the machine, adjusting some controls on the glowing console. His hands moved with precision, almost too fluidly to be entirely human. The sight of it made Alex's skin crawl. "Tell me what's really going on," Alex pressed. "You can't just hide everything from me. What's the machine for?" Zarlin didn't turn around this time. He kept his attention on the machine, eyes narrowed in concentration as his fingers flew across the controls. "It's not what you think, Alex. The goal is delicate." Alex stepped forward, his patience running thin. He didn't care about Zarlin's vague words anymore. He needed answers, and he needed them now. "Zarlin," he said, his voice tense. "I know we've been roommates for a while, but I don't care about your delicate goal. This is getting out of hand. What is this really about?" Zarlin stopped, his fingers frozen over the console. Slowly, he turned back to face Alex. His gaze softened, but only for a moment. "You have no idea what's at stake," Zarlin murmured, his voice laced with something Alex couldn't place. Sorrow, perhaps? Regret? It was hard to say. Before Alex could respond, the machine made a low, sudden noise, as if it had powered up. The hum shifting to a sharper pitch. The lights flickered. Then a screen lit up on the console, displaying a symbol that made Alex's blood run cold. The symbol was unlike anything Alex had ever seen. It was a twisted pattern of lines and circles, rotating slowly on the screen as if it were alive. The shapes seemed to shimmer, their meaning hidden beneath layers of complexity. Something about it was ancient, and it felt wrong, as if the very fabric of reality was bending to allow its existence. "Zarlin," Alex began, but his words faltered. His mind raced, but he couldn't make sense of what he was seeing. Zarlin's expression didn't change, but Alex noticed a slight tightening in his features. The alien seemed disturbed. "What is that?" Alex's voice was barely a whisper. "It's nothing," Zarlin said quickly, almost too quickly. He reached forward, pressing a button on the console, causing the symbol to vanish. "It's a malfunction. Ignore it." But Alex couldn't ignore it. "I don't believe you," he said, his voice firm. "That wasn't a malfunction. What is it? What are you doing?" Zarlin's gaze darkened, his earlier calmness slipping into something darker. He took a step closer to Alex, his towering frame suddenly imposing. "You have to understand, Alex," Zarlin said, his voice low and urgent. "The fate of our species depends on this. Human DNA. You are the key to everything." Alex blinked, confusion clouding his mind. "Human DNA? What are you talking about? What does that symbol have to do with it?" Zarlin didn't answer. Instead, he stepped back, his hands returning to the controls. He was avoiding the question, but Alex couldn't let it go. Something was happening here, something huge, something that could change everything. Without thinking, Alex moved forward, reaching for the console. He had to know. He had to see for himself. But as his fingers brushed against the surface of the machine, a flash of light exploded from the screen. It was blinding, and Alex recoiled, his vision swimming with spots of color. "Alex!" Zarlin shouted, his voice filled with alarm. He reached for Alex, pulling him away from the machine. "Get back, you shouldn't have touched it." But it was too late. The damage was done. As Alex stumbled back, dazed, he saw the symbol flicker back onto the screen, brighter than before. It seemed to pulse, as if it were alive, and this time he could almost feel it. Something deep inside him, a strange stirring, like an echo. Alex's heart raced. He had no idea what was happening, but one thing was clear. Whatever Zarlin was doing, it wasn't just an experiment. It was something much more dangerous, something that had already begun to change him in ways he couldn't yet understand. "Zarlin," Alex said, his voice trembling. "What did I just do?" Zarlin looked at him, his face a mask of grim resolve. "The experiment has begun." Alex's head pounded, each throb making the world around him spin. He wasn't sure if it was from the blinding flash or the overwhelming flood of questions in his mind. Everything felt wrong. The strange symbol on the screen still pulsed in his mind, its meaning eluding him, but its presence had lodged itself deep into his thoughts. Whatever it was part of something much larger than he could understand. Zarlin's and gripped his arm with surprising force, steadying him as he stumbled backward. The alien's eyes were wide, pupils dilated, an expression Alex rarely saw on his typically controlled and distant roommate. "You should have stayed away," Zarlin said. His voice strained, his tone edged with urgency. The calm, reassuring persona. that Alex had grown accustomed to was gone, replaced by something more frantic, more primal. The bond. It's been triggered. Alex could barely hear him over the ringing in his ears. Triggered, he repeated, his voice hoarse. His head was still reeling. What bond? What the hell is going on, Zarlin? Zarlin's grip tightened, pulling Alex closer to the machine, though Alex resisted, instinctively pulling back. The alien's face was mere inches from his now, a strange intensity in his gaze. I warned you, Zarlin said softly, almost as if talking to himself. This was never meant to happen like this. The words hit Alex like a slap. What are you talking about? He tried to step back again, but Zarlin was holding him too tightly. You've been hiding something from me, haven't you? What's this machine really doing? And what is that symbol? For a moment Zarlin was silent, as if trying to piece together how to explain what Alex had just seen. Then slowly he let go of Alex's arm. The tension in his eyes didn't ease, but there was something else now, a touch of regret. It's not just any experiment, Zarlin said, his voice soft but firm. It's a procedure that's been in the making for centuries. Our species, my species, has been trying to perfect it for generations. Human DNA is unique. And you, Alex, you are key to unlocking something unimaginable. Alex was struggling to make sense of it. What do you mean by key? You're talking about me like I'm some kind of tool, some test subject. Zarlin's gaze dropped to the machine, then back to Alex. In a way, yes, but it's not like what you're imagining. This isn't about exploiting you, it's about evolution, survival. He hesitated, then added, It's about saving my people. Alex blinked, feeling a wave of nausea rise in his stomach. What? Saving your people from what? Zarlin turned his back to Alex, taking a few steps toward the machine. He stood there, staring at the screen, where the symbol had now faded into a soft blue light. For a moment, the alien seemed lost in thought. The room felt colder. The hum of the machine almost deafening now. Let me start from the beginning, Zarlin said after a moment. He turned slowly, meeting Alex's eyes again. Our species, Tharkalians, once ruled a great empire across the stars. We were prosperous, we were powerful, and we were unprepared. Unprepared, Alex repeated. For what? Zarlin's eyes darkened. For the collapse. Alex felt a chill creep up his spine at the word. The collapse? What does that even mean? Zarlin nodded slowly, as if contemplating how much to reveal. The collapse is a catastrophic event, a series of natural disasters that nearly wiped out our entire race. It was an event unlike anything you can imagine, a perfect storm of cosmic radiation, gravitational shifts, and unpredictable solar storms that destabilized the very fabric of our planet. Alex's mind spun. And that's why you're doing this? Trying to save your people? Yes, Zarlin replied. But the collapse did more than just destroy our physical world. It changed our biology. Tharkalians can no longer reproduce the way we once did. Our species has been struggling to continue. Alex felt his heart skip a beat. So you're using human reproduction to fix it? Is that what this is? Zarlin nodded, his expression hardening. We've tried many times to adapt, but our DNA, as it is now, has been altered too much. The collapse left us infertile. For generations we have searched for a solution, and now I've found it. You want to use human DNA, Alex said slowly, the words tasting foreign on his tongue. That's why you've been working on that. Machine, it's not just human DNA, Zarlin said, his voice tight with urgency. It's the process of reproduction itself. Human biology, your species, has a resilience to it that we need. Our species biology, our DNA, has been altered by the collapse, but human DNA is pure, adaptable. It holds the key to restoration. Alex stared at him in disbelief. And you thought I wouldn't have a problem with this? You've been experimenting on me. trying to use me like some kind of science project. Zarlin's face tightened, the calmness slipping away. This isn't an experiment, he said fiercely. This is survival. My people are dying, Alex. If I don't complete this, there won't be a future for us. You've seen the machine. You've felt it. Alex shook his head, still reeling. This is insane. You're talking about human reproduction like it's some kind of tool. People don't work like that, Zarlin. The alien was silent for a moment, and when he spoke again, his voice had dropped to a near whisper. I never wanted it to be this way. I never wanted to hurt you. His eyes seemed to soften as he met Alex's gaze. But there are things in this universe, things beyond our control. Sometimes sacrifices must be made. I didn't think it would be like this. Alex's pulse raced. You didn't think it would be like this? He repeated incredulously. You've been playing with something you don't even fully understand. You've been working on that machine, and you didn't think it would go this far? You've been using me without telling me anything. Zarlin took a step forward, his voice almost pleading. You have to understand, this isn't just about you or me. It's about the future of our species. I had no other choice. We have to try this, Alex. We don't have time. But you lied to me. Alex's voice was shaking now, his anger rising to match his fear. You've been hiding all of this from me. I thought we were friends, Zarlin. I thought you... Before he could finish his sentence, the hum of the machine changed again. The air in the room grew thick with an unnatural energy, and the screen on the console flickered erratically. Zarlin's expression shifted instantly from urgency to panic. No, this wasn't supposed to happen, he muttered under his breath as his fingers flew across the console, desperately trying to regain control. But the machine wasn't responding. It was becoming erratic, its lights flashing wildly, like a heartbeat growing erratic and faster. What's happening? Alex demanded, fear clawing at his chest. Zarlin's face was pale as he turned to Alex, his eyes wide with alarm. The bond, it's not just triggering the process, it's altering something in your DNA. We're too far along. The experiment has accelerated. Alex felt a cold sweat break out across his forehead. What does that mean? Zarlin swallowed, his voice shaking. It means... Alex, it means the machine is bonding your DNA to mine. It's too late to stop it. Alex stood, frozen, his heart racing. The air around him felt thick, charged with an energy he couldn't understand. The room, once sterile and controlled, now felt like a cage, a place where something beyond his comprehension was taking shape. Zarlin, his alien roommate, stood just a few feet away, his fingers frantically working the machine, yet the control was slipping from his grasp. The monitor pulsed erratically, the symbols on its screen shifting into patterns that made no sense to Alex. You have to stop this, Zarlin, Alex shouted, his voice raw with panic. His mind couldn't fully comprehend what was happening, but his instincts screamed that this was dangerous. Whatever bond Zarlin had triggered wasn't just a biological experiment. It was something far worse, something Alex was now helplessly entangled in. But Zarlin didn't respond, his focus entirely on the console, his brow furrowed in concentration, his movements quick and precise, but something wasn't right. The machine's lights flickered, and the soft hum now sounded more like a growl, low and menacing. Zarlin! Alex shouted again, his voice trembling. Finally, the alien looked up, his face drawn tight with fear. For the first time since they had met, Alex saw real fear in Zarlin's eyes. I can't stop it, Zarlin said, his voice strained. The bond, it's irreversible now. Alex took a step forward, his hands trembling. What do you mean, irreversible? You said you didn't know how this would go, but this isn't just some experiment, Zarlin. This is dangerous. Zarlin lowered his gaze, his shoulders slumping in defeat. You don't understand, Alex. The bond isn't just between you and me. It's between us, our species. The experiment, it wasn't meant to go this far. It was never supposed to involve a human. But now, because of the bond, your DNA is changing. It's merging with mine. Alex took another step back, his breath shallow. His mind reeled. Merging? How was that even possible? And what did it mean? And for him, I didn't ask for this, Alex snapped, his chest tightening. You can't just play with someone's life like this. Zarlin's face hardened, but his voice remained calm, though laced with frustration. It wasn't supposed to be you. I never planned on involving you, but you were. There. The machine was activated and the bond was triggered. It's beyond my control now. You did plan this, Alex retorted bitterly. You just didn't think it through, did you? You lied to me from the start. You've been hiding the truth and now it's too late to fix anything. What happens? Now Zarlin? Zarlin's eyes flickered with something, regret or guilt. Alex couldn't be sure. You're right, he said quietly. I should have been honest with you from the beginning, but I thought I could control it. I didn't think it would escalate this quickly. Alex's head spun. He wanted to scream, to lash out, but his anger was being consumed by something else, something darker, something that felt like it was slowly crawling under his skin. He felt different, changed. His body, his mind, nothing felt the same. Something's happening to me, Alex whispered, almost to himself. Zarlin's expression softened, but the fear in his eyes deepened. The bond is beginning to take effect. Your DNA, it's being rewritten. At first it will be subtle. You'll feel it in small ways, heightened senses maybe. But over time, it will be more. The two species will begin to merge on a genetic level. Alex's heart pounded in his chest. What does that mean for me? Am I going to... He stopped himself, his throat tightening. The thought was unbearable. Zarlin met his gaze, his voice grave. You won't be the same. Your humanity will begin to fade. You'll still look like you, but you won't be you, not fully. Alex could hardly process the weight of the words. His thoughts spiraled into panic. What the hell had Zarlin done to him? I can't let this happen, Alex said, his voice cracking. I can't just change like that. Zarlin stepped closer, his expression pleading. I'm sorry, Alex, but it's too late to turn back. This process is irreversible. Alex's mind reeled. Irreversible. He was trapped in a nightmare of Zarlin's making. His body, his DNA, wasn't his anymore. He didn't even have the power to stop it. The realization hit him like a wave crashing on the shore. He was no longer in control of his own life. We need to find a way to reverse this, Alex said, his voice firm despite the fear and confusion twisting inside him. There has to be a way. Zarlin shook his head, his expression tight with regret. I don't know how. The bond was meant to be the solution, not the problem. It's supposed to help us. But now it's too much. I wasn't prepared for this. The room felt colder, as if the very walls were closing in around him. Alex's pulse raced in his ears. What did he mean by too much? Too much for Zarlin's race, or too much for Alex? Zarlin's gaze shifted, and Alex followed his, eyes to the console. The machine was still humming, its lights flickering in a chaotic pattern. It was as if it was alive, responding to the bond, feeding off it. It wasn't just a piece of technology, it was something more, something sentient maybe? I can't let you suffer because of my mistake, Zarlin said, his voice tinged with desperation. He turned back to the machine, his fingers dancing over the console in a blur, as if trying to find a way to undo what had already been done. But the machine was unyielding. The lights flickered again, brighter this time, casting long shadows across the room. And then, suddenly, everything went dark. A new reality. The world around Alex vanished in an instant, plunging him into an oppressive darkness. His body felt weightless, suspended in space. Panic surged through him as he realized that the air was thick, almost suffocating, and the sounds of the machine, the hum, the flickering lights, had all disappeared. His breath caught in his throat as a deep sense of disorientation took over. Then, slowly, a low, pulsing sound reverberated through the darkness, like a heartbeat. It grew louder, closer. A cold shiver ran down Alex's spine, but this time it wasn't fear. It was something else. A strange sensation, like his body was resonating with the pulse. Suddenly the darkness began to fade. Images flickered. At the edges of his vision, a bright light, patterns, shapes. Everything around him began to take form, and with it, his mind seemed to unravel. The bond, the merging, wasn't just happening to his body. It was happening to his mind, too. No, this isn't real, Alex thought desperately. This can't be happening. But it was. As the darkness cleared, Alex found himself standing in a vast, empty space, a place that felt both familiar and alien. The air was thick with an unknown energy, an energy that hummed with life. A strange sensation washed over him, something deep inside him, like a memory, a connection, a bond. It wasn't just his body that had changed. His mind had been altered too. He could feel the alien DNA coursing through his veins now. He could feel Zarlin's presence in the deepest corners of his consciousness, like an uninvited guest who had taken root. He could sense his thoughts, his emotions. It was as though he had become part of something much bigger, much older than himself. Then came the whispers, soft, distant voices, alien yet familiar, began to echo around him. They weren't words exactly, but thoughts, ideas, memories, fragments of alien consciousness. They were too jumbled to make sense of at first, but Alex could feel them pulling at his mind, at his very soul. "Alex," a voice murmured. It was Zarlin's voice, yet it sounded as though it came from all around him, like the very air itself was speaking. "You have to understand. This was never meant to be, but now you are connected. You are part of us. You cannot escape this. Not anymore." Alex staggered back, his breath catching in his throat. "No, no, this can't be real," he cried out, but the voices only grew louder, more insistent. "You are one of us now," they echoed. "You cannot return to what you were." Alex's heart pounded as the whispers in his mind grew louder, their voices becoming more insistent. He staggered, clutching his head, trying to block them out, but the bond was too strong, too overwhelming. He could no longer differentiate between his own thoughts and those of the alien consciousness swirling around him. His mind felt like a battleground, with competing forces vying for control. "Stop," he muttered to himself, but the voices only grew clearer. "You cannot escape. You are one with us now." Alex's eyes snapped open, his body trembling as he tried to push the invasive thoughts out of his head. He could feel it now, the alien presence, not just within his mind, but within every fiber of his being. His DNA had been irrevocably altered, rewritten by the bond. It was no longer just Zarlin's experiment. It was something far more dangerous, something that threatened to consume him. With every heartbeat, Alex felt the power of the bond growing stronger. His senses were heightened. He could feel the air moving, the vibrations in the floor, the very pulse of the building. He could hear Zarlin's thoughts now, faint and distant, but still present. It was as though the alien was there, even when he wasn't. "Zarlin," Alex whispered, his voice raw with desperation. He was no longer sure where he ended and the alien began. "What did you do to me?" For a moment, there was silence. Then Zarlin's voice echoed in Alex's mind, distant but clear. "I didn't intend for it to be like this," Zarlin said, his voice filled with regret. "But you were too perfect. Your DNA, your biology, you were the key, Alex. I didn't expect it to take control of you, but now Now it's beyond my reach. Alex felt a chill run through him. Perfect. Was that how Zarlin saw him? A tool to be used in some twisted experiment? He had trusted the alien, had allowed him to manipulate him, and now it seemed that trust was his greatest mistake. "You need to undo this," Alex demanded, his voice shaky but defiant. "I don't want to be part of whatever this is. I don't want to—" But the voices cut him off. "You cannot undo it. You are no longer human. You are becoming one of us." The weight of their words settled on him, suffocating him. Alex sank to his knees, his hands pressed against his temples, as if he could push the voices out. But they were relentless. Suddenly the room around him seemed to shift. The walls pulsated, vibrating with an energy he couldn't understand. The floor beneath him felt unsteady, as if the very foundation of the building was shifting. A low hum filled the air, and for a moment Alex thought he was losing his mind. But then, through the haze of confusion, he felt something else, a presence, a powerful force moving through the air. The door to his room opened, and Zarlin stepped inside. His alien features were more pronounced now, his eyes glowing faintly. In the dim light, he looked different, haggard, worn down, as though the weight of what had transpired was taking its toll on him. "Alex," Zarlin said, his voice strained, "I didn't think it would escalate this far. I thought I could control it, but now we're both in this together." Alex's head snapped up, his eyes blazing with anger. "Control it? You never controlled anything, Zarlin. You used me. You used me for your experiment, and now—" He stopped, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The connection between them was undeniable. Every word, every emotion, every feeling was now shared between them. He could feel Zarlin's guilt, his confusion, his desperation. It was all too much. "I'm sorry," Zarlin said, his voice softening. "I never wanted this to happen. But it's too late now. We're bound together, Alex. Your biology has integrated with mine. What happens to you will happen to me, and vice versa." Alex stood up abruptly, the force of his movement startling. "What are you talking about?" he demanded, his voice rising. "Are you saying we're connected now? That if I die, you die too?" Zarlin's expression darkened. "In a way, yes, we are symbiotic now. Our survival is linked. What happens to one of us will affect the other." Alex's mind reeled. This wasn't just an experiment gone wrong. It was a life-or-death situation. If anything happened to him, Zarlin would suffer the consequences, and vice versa. The weight of that realization was overwhelming. But there was something more, something deeper. Alex could feel it now, creeping under his skin. The alien presence, growing inside him, feeding off him, merging with his very essence. It was both terrifying and fascinating at the same time. He had always been human, but now he wasn't so sure. The lines between him and Zarlin were blurring, fading away. He could sense the alien's emotions more clearly now, feel his thoughts, as though they were his own. Zarlin took a step closer, his eyes searching Alex's face. "Alex, you must understand. The bond is not just physical, it is mental, emotional, spiritual. It will change you. You may not even recognize yourself. Soon, but there is no going back. We are one now." Alex took a step back, his breath coming in shallow gasps. He could feel his body changing, his mind stretching beyond its limits. His senses were heightened to an almost unbearable degree. The faintest sounds, the smallest movements, everything was amplified. His vision seemed sharper, the colors more vivid. He could even sense the emotions of those around him, as if their very thoughts were an open book. "How do we stop it?" Alex asked, his voice quiet, almost desperate. Zarlin shook his head. "There is no stopping it, Alex. The bond is a force of nature. It cannot be reversed, not without consequences that neither of us is prepared to face. But there has to be something." Alex said, his voice breaking. "I can't live like this. I can't be—" Before he could finish, a sharp pain shot through Alex's chest. He gasped, clutching his side as the world around him spun. The pain was unlike anything he had ever felt before, sharp and unrelenting. It was as if his body was being torn apart from the inside out. His vision blurred, and he collapsed to the ground, his breath coming in ragged, desperate gasps. Zarlin rushed to his side, his alien hands hovering over Alex's body, unsure of what to do. "Alex!" Zarlin cried, his voice filled with panic. "What's happening to you? The bond, it's hurting you. It's too much for your human body to handle." The pain intensified, and Alex's vision darkened. His thoughts became a jumbled mess of confusion, fear, and alien sensations. It was as though his body was rejecting the bond, fighting against it in every way possible. His limbs shook uncontrollably, his breath coming in short, shallow bursts. "Zarlin," Alex gasped, his voice strained. You have to stop this. Please." Zarlin knelt beside him, his alien eyes filled with a mixture of sorrow and fear. "I can't," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I never meant for this to happen. I never thought it would come to this. I thought you were strong enough. But the bond, it's too much." The pain continued to surge through Alex's body, but then something changed. The connection between him and Zarlin deepened, and with it a strange sensation of calm began to settle over him. It wasn't the pain that was fading, but his ability to endure it. It was as if the alien DNA in his body was helping him to survive, to push through the agony. Slowly, his breathing steadied, and the pain began to dull, though it didn't fully disappear. Alex opened his eyes, looking up at Zarlin. "What? What just happened?" he whispered, his voice hoarse. Zarlin's face was pale, his expression unreadable. "The bond, it's adapting. You're evolving." Alex felt a cold shiver run through him. Evolving. What did that mean for him? Was he losing his humanity? Was he becoming something else entirely? Zarlin looked at him with a mixture of fear and awe. "You're changing, Alex. You're becoming something new, something neither human nor alien." Alex stood up slowly, his body still trembling from the aftermath of the pain. He glanced at Zarlin, but the words were stuck in his throat. What could he say? He was no longer sure of anything. He wasn't human anymore. And yet, in some strange way, he wasn't alien either. He was something else entirely, something new. The bond had taken root, and there was no turning back. The days blurred together for Alex. His mind was a whirlwind of confusion, fear, and an ever-growing sense of alienness. The bond with Zarlin had not only altered his physical state, but also warped his understanding of reality. Every moment was suffused with a constant low hum, the ever-present feeling of being watched, or rather, of watching and being watched simultaneously. His reflection in the mirror was a constant reminder of his transformation. His eyes had changed. No longer just human, they now glowed faintly with an otherworldly shimmer. His skin, once pale and blemished, had taken on a smoother, more luminous quality, and his senses, his hearing, his sight, his very awareness of the world around him, had expanded beyond anything he could have imagined. He could feel Zarlin's presence even when the alien wasn't nearby. It was a strange, intrusive connection that was both unnerving and fascinating, but that was not the worst of it. The worst part was the changes inside him. The alien DNA that had fused with his own was beginning to feel less like an infection and more like a part of his soul. He could sense the alien urges growing within him, feeding off his thoughts, twisting his desires, making him question who he was, what he was becoming. One evening, Alex stood by the window, looking out over the sprawling cityscape. The lights below seemed to pulse in time with the strange rhythm that now echoed in his chest. His heartbeat was no longer just his own. It resonated with the strange, alien rhythm that now intertwined with it. Alex. Zarlin's voice sounded from behind him, calm but tinged with a certain unease. We need to talk. Alex didn't turn to face him. He could feel the alien's presence, the way Zarlin always moved, his energy filling the room before the footsteps ever reached his ears. It was like living with a ghost, and yet the ghost was flesh and blood. "About what?" Alex asked, his voice devoid of emotion. Zarlin stepped forward, his tall frame casting a shadow over Alex. "About what's happening to you. About what's happening to us." Alex's mind flickered with anger, frustration, and deep down a fear he couldn't quite shake. "I think I know what's happening to me," he muttered, his voice raw with bitterness. "I'm becoming you." Zarlin's eyes, once distant and clinical, softened as he studied Alex. "You're not becoming me, Alex. You're becoming something entirely new, something neither human nor alien. The bond is unique. It's shaping you into something far more powerful than I ever imagined." Alex's hands curled into fists at his sides. He hated how Zarlin always seemed to speak about him like he was some kind of specimen. He hated how detached the alien sounded, how cold and clinical. He wanted to scream, to break free from the invisible chains that bound him to this creature. "Don't you dare talk about me like that," Alex snapped, spinning around to face Zarlin. "I'm still human." For a moment there was silence. Then Zarlin stepped closer, his alien eyes glimmering with an emotion that Alex couldn't quite place. "You are human, Alex. You always will be. But you are also something more now. And I'm not sure what that means for either of us." Alex's heart raced. "What do you mean, not sure? You're the one who started all of this. You're the one who—" "I know." Zarlin interrupted, his voice low. "I didn't know what would happen. I thought I could control the experiment. I thought you could handle it. But now we're both in too deep." Alex felt the anger drain out of him, replaced by a gnawing dread. He had trusted Zarlin. He had trusted the alien with his very essence, and now that trust was crumbling like ash in his hands. "What does that mean?" Alex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "What happens now?" Zarlin took a step back, his gaze unwavering. "I don't know. The bond between us is unlike anything either of our species has experienced. I never anticipated that it would affect you this way. I thought you would be able to control it, but now—" Zarlin's voice faltered, and for the first time, Alex saw a flicker of genuine concern in his eyes. "Now, I'm not sure what will happen to either of us. The bond, it's growing stronger, it's taking over, and it's only a matter of time before we—" Zarlin was cut off by a loud crash from down the hall. Both of them turned in unison, their senses instantly alert. Alex could feel the tension in Zarlin's body, the way he tensed at the sound. "That didn't sound like just a normal disturbance," Alex said, his pulse quickening. His instincts kicked in, sharp and heightened by the changes inside him. The sound had triggered something in him, something primal. Zarlin's eyes darkened, his alien features hardening with purpose. No, it didn't. He turned toward the door, but before he could make a move, Alex stepped in front of him. "I'm coming with you," Alex insisted, his voice firm. Zarlin hesitated, his gaze flicking over Alex's face. "You're not ready for what's out there. I don't care." Alex's voice was resolute. "I'm not just some experiment. You've dragged me into this, and I'm not sitting back while you face it alone." Zarlin studied him for a moment, then gave a small, almost imperceptible, "Done very well, but stay close." They moved quickly, their steps silent as they moved down the hallway toward the source of the noise. The air felt thick with tension, and Alex could feel the bond between him and Zarlin flaring. The strange pulse between them was stronger than ever almost suffocating. He could feel the alien's urgency, his fear and his determination. It was all too much, and yet it somehow gave him strength. They reached the source of the noise, an open door to what appeared to be a storage room. The flickering light inside cast long shadows across the floor, and the air smelled faintly of something metallic. The ground was scattered with debris, and there in the center of the room stood something that made Alex's blood run cold. A figure, not human, not alien, a hybrid. The creature's body was a grotesque blend of human and alien traits. Its skin was a sickly shade of grey, stretched thin over a distorted frame. Its eyes were hollow, black pits, devoid of any warmth or humanity. It stood motionless, its head tilted slightly as though it were trying to process the reality of its own existence. Alex's breath hitched. What is that? Zarlin's face twisted with disgust and horror. It's an unintended consequence of the bond, a creature created by the fusion of your biology and mine. It should never have existed. Alex's mind raced, the implications of what he was seeing sinking in. You did this. His voice was a mix of disbelief and anger. This thing? You created it? Zarlin's eyes narrowed, his voice tight with emotion. I didn't want this. The bond, it's unpredictable. I didn't know it would create something like this. I never wanted to experiment with human life in this way. The hybrid creature moved then, its head jerking unnaturally toward them. Its movements were jerky, almost animalistic as it hissed, revealing sharp, jagged teeth. Alex felt the fear spike inside him. This was not something he could fight, not with the way his body felt, not with the alien presence inside him urging him forward. We need to get out of here, Zarlin said, his voice low and urgent. Now. But before they could move, the creature let out a shrill screech, its arms lunging forward, knocking over metal containers in its path. Alex's heart hammered in his chest as the creature's eyes locked onto him, the bond between them pulsing with a strange, horrifying intensity. Alex could feel its hunger. He could feel it reaching out to him. The creature was not just a creation of biology. It was an extension of the alien force that had consumed him, an entity born from the twisted fusion of human and alien. And it was coming for him. The screech of the hybrid creature echoed through the room, a terrifying reminder of how far things had spiraled out of control. Alex's breath came in ragged gasps as he watched the creature lunge toward him, its limbs twisting in unnatural angles. He felt the pulse of the bond between him and Zarlin flare, sending a shockwave through his body, amplifying his fear and his growing realization that he was no longer just a human, he was something else. Alex! Zarlin's voice cut through the chaos. The alien's urgency was evident, but it wasn't enough to dispel the dread clawing at Alex's heart. Move! Now! Alex didn't need to be told twice. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to escape. The creature that had been born from the very thing he had once thought would make him stronger. The bond had twisted everything, and now Alex was paying the price. He bolted for the door, his legs moving faster than he thought possible, but the creature was close behind. Its guttural growls filled the room as it swiped at him, its claws grazing the air where he had just been. Zarlin wasn't far behind, but even with his alien speed and agility, he couldn't outpace the hybrid. The creature's predatory nature was relentless, driven by an insatiable hunger, and it had been born from the connection between Alex and the alien. It was hunting them both, and no amount of running seemed like it would be enough. They reached the hallway, but the creature was gaining. Alex could feel it drawing closer, the pull of the bond getting stronger, as if the hybrid were connected to him by some invisible thread. Panic surged in his chest as the creature's screeches became more frantic, and he realized something far more terrifying. The creature wasn't just hunting him, it was hunting them both. We have to stop it. Zarlin shouted, his voice tight with fear. It will only stop once it gets what it wants, the source of the bond. Alex's mind reeled. The source, the bond. It was him. I can't let it take me, Alex gasped. I can't. Zarlin's expression softened, an unspoken understanding passing between them. The alien knew what had to be done, even if Alex didn't want to accept it. You have to break the bond, Alex, Zarlin said, his voice firm yet filled with regret. If we don't sever the connection, it will consume both of us. We can't control it anymore. You've felt it, the hybrid. It's the embodiment of everything we've created. If we don't break the connection... I know, Alex interrupted, his voice a low whisper. He could feel the creature's presence growing closer, feel its hunger becoming more insistent, and he knew what needed to be done. The realization crashed over him like a tidal wave, leaving him with a hollow emptiness. I have to sever it. I have to let go. The words felt like a betrayal, like a death sentence to something deep inside of him. The connection with Zarlin had become so much more than just an experiment. It had become a part of his very being, an extension of who he was now. And to let go, to sever the bond, felt like tearing away a part of himself. But Alex knew there was no other choice. Do it, Alex said, his voice resolute, though his heart ached. I'm ready. Zarlin stepped forward, his alien hands glowing faintly as he extended them toward Alex. The alien's touch was warm, but not comforting. It was a touch filled with an understanding of what was at stake. There was no going back. You're not alone, Zarlin said softly. I'll be with you, even if it's not in the way we thought. As their hands touched, the world around in them seemed to still. The bond that had tied them together for so long flared one last time, and Alex felt a wave of emotions crash over him. Fear, regret, love, anger. Everything he had been through with Zarlin, every moment of connection, every twist and turn, rushed through his mind. And then with a sharp, jarring sensation, it snapped. The hybrid creature screeched in agony as the bond between Alex and Zarlin was severed. Its form began to distort, as if unraveling in response to the loss of the connection that had given it life. The creature's screams were deafening, but Alex couldn't look away. He watched as the hybrid writhed and convulsed, its body disintegrating, its essence unraveling like a broken thread, and then just like that, it was gone. Alex's knees buckled, and he fell to the floor, gasping for air. The weight that had been pressing on him for so long, both physical and mental, was finally gone. The pulse of the bond, the strange, suffocating connection, had vanished. It was over. Zarlin knelt beside him, his eyes filled with something Alex couldn't quite decipher. Relief? Sorrow? Maybe both. You did it, Zarlin said softly, his voice barely a whisper. It's over. Alex looked up at him, the alien's features softened by the dim light. Is it really over? His voice was thick with exhaustion and disbelief. Or have we just begun to destroy something else? Zarlin didn't respond immediately. Instead, he sat next to Alex, the silence between them thick with the weight of everything they had just been through. I don't know, Zarlin finally said. But what I do know is that we can't go back. The bond, the experiment, it changed both of us. And I don't think either of us can ever be the same. Alex's mind spun as he absorbed the alien's words. He looked down at his hands, the strange glow still lingering in his skin. The hybrid was gone, but the changes to his body remained. The alien DNA was still there, coursing through his veins. I'm not sure I want to go back, Alex said quietly, but I also don't know what I'm supposed to do now. What am I now, Zarlin? Am I still human? Zarlin's eyes softened, and he placed a hand on Alex's shoulder. You're still human, Alex. You're something more, but you're still human. You always will be. And whatever happens now, we have to face it together. We can't undo the past, but we can shape the future. Whatever we become from this point on, We're not alone in it." Alex nodded slowly, the weight of the aliens, words settling over him like a blanket. He didn't know what the future held. He didn't know if he could ever go back to the life he had before, or if he would even want to. The bond had changed him, had changed them both. But now, it was gone. For better or for worse, he was free. But one thing was certain. The world had changed, the universe had changed, and Alex had changed with it. As they sat there in silence, looking out at the city before them, Alex realized that the true lesson wasn't about what had happened to him. It wasn't about the alien bond or the hybrid creature. It was about the choices we make, the paths we choose to follow, and the consequences those choices bring. And for better or for worse, Alex knew he had made his choice. He had survived. He had fought for his humanity. And now, whatever the future, who held, he would face it with the same resolve. The final lesson had been learned, and in the end, that was all that mattered. The end